me a 1 if you can hear me clearly. I just want to start with that first. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at our journey. And I'm just going to give you some of my own personal thoughts on why I consider analytics being the most important aspect of the whole framework. Okay, so how's everyone? Good morning, good evening to all our folks that are here. Okay, so let's look at our journey, what we've done over this last 8 weeks. The reason why we developed the framework was to give us standards, okay? And I come from a production background for probably 10 or 14 years. I manufactured surfboards, and we worked a lot with production lines where we had to develop processes, we had to build certain things, and we had to deliver specific standards so that we could export them and distribute the surfboards across the world. From there, I went to the IT world and started building call centers. And we started at the floor, empty building, pulled the servers in, got the cables in for the pipes, connected up the comms to the servers, got the telephones all connected up. Then we developed the scripts that actually the agents on the call floors used when they're speaking and engaging with the customers. And this is where we started getting really into analytics. So when you look at a call center industry, they work on sales per hour. You have to get a SPH, it's called sales per hour. And depending on the type of campaign and the product that we're selling, the agents on the floor, the call advisors, would sometimes have to have like 5 sales per hour. And we had to develop the analytics to actually track every single individual user. And we'll look at the amount of telephone calls they'll get versus how much they're selling, and we'll calculate exactly what their sales per hour were. And as soon as they tipped certain thresholds where they were falling below certain levels, the call manager, because each table within the centers, you have 14 people in a pod with one team leader. That team leader will get notified, okay, this guy's dropping behind, and he'll go actually sit and personally work with that person to get their sales per hour out. So in the call center industry, you're essentially printing money because you're working by sales per hour. And it was a very, very interesting thing, because sometimes in some days we would do up to like the machines would do like up to 10,000 phone calls in a day. So there's a ton of data getting processed, and we had to look at all this stuff and make business sense and business logic out of all that data for the center managers, so they could then report up to the directors, which then reported back up to the business owners and the companies that we dealt with. So we dealt with Scottish Water, Tele2, Vodacom, some of the big telecommunication companies. We had to deliver reports to these big blue chip companies. Okay, so then what we're doing now is we are looking at our business, and we can actually look at what we've done, and there's no difference in what we're doing over here versus what I did in the call center thing, because we still need to have the same kind of data. We still need to get that feedback loop. We still need to understand how our websites are performing and what elements or what variables are the golden threads that actually make profit. Okay, and this is what we need to find out. Now, a lot of people think about analytics and they actually get scared about it, and they get intimidated, and they don't know how to translate the information. So what I've done for you guys is I've built you 1 or 2 dashboards, and I've made it simple for you so we can start looking at simple things. And that's what we're going to look at today, is how do we build these dashboards, how we use them, and how do we actually translate this technical information that's coming back into us to make better decisions to upgrade and implement on our sites. Okay, so if we look back at our journey, the very first thing is we thought about week 1, what are we selling? Then in week 2, what are the pains? What does our customers want? Okay, now we've broken this up into weekly increments for you guys, so you're taking small bite steps. But by now, when you come back around to week 1, you should be able to do week 1, 2, and 3 literally in 3 hours, if you think about it. So you can, what am I selling? Brainstorm it, write it down. What's the pains? Go to Pain Finder, find pains, go to Google, look at FAQs, understand what the people want. Week 3, take the keywords, put them into Kraken, extract the market language, start understanding the language. How do people express themselves? We then took that language, and in week 4, we started building our site. So we went to any solid builder, we put the keywords in, and we took our business metrics, how much profit we make, what we expect the conversions to do, and we started data sculpting. We started playing around with different numbers to see, okay, what's going to make this project profitable? What do I have to achieve? And by doing that, we start putting KPIs in place. We stick in a flag in the ground, and we start thinking, okay, this is the targets. and we start thinking, are they achievable? Then once we agree that they're achievable and we understand what are the important keywords in this market, we then map out our blueprint and we build it and we get the site live. Then we build out one silo, drop our content, get it live, let the search engines index it, and we go back around. We build out the next silo until we've completed all our silos. We do this infinite loop around a WO1. Once the WO1's up and running and all set up and we're happy, we can let that get indexed. We can start seeing small bits of impressions coming up as the search engines give us queries, and then we can set up our blog. Now at week 6, when we set our site up, if you do PPC and you're familiar with that, you can even go and test a few of your primary keywords and send traffic to those specific pages so that you can start refining the on-page conversions. Because remember, if you get a 1% increase on your on-page conversion, that has a direct impact on the actual conversions and the profit that you make at the end of the day. So if you increase by 2, you get more. Okay. So then week 7, we set up the one feed, we tested everything, we made sure that our broadcasting was going out and was hitting all our social profiles, and now we're at week 8, and this is where we start looking at the feedback loop, what's coming back in. Okay. So what I've done for you guys in the course is, if you go to week 8, testing and measuring traffic and engagement, okay, what I have over here for you guys is I've created a dashboard for your blog so you can actually monitor your one feed, and it gives us some interesting information about what's happening with our communications as they go upstream, as they go out, and what's coming back into us. So to install this into analytics, all you need to do is simply click on this button and AdWords will open up and it will ask you, do you want this dashboard? Okay, and we'll just let us do this now. Obviously I've got this installed, so it might not show us, so I'm just going to see what's happening. Right, so we'll get a screen like this, and you can basically select which project you want to put it in. So we'll go to the SASE project or wherever we want to put it, okay, and you can name it whatever you want to call it. So I've called this the WRS1 Broadcasting Dashboard, and I've done it for you. And you click Create, and it'll go and actually build it in analytics for you. So I'm not going to do it now because I've already done that. So let's close that screen off there. So once that's installed, we just want to do a quick audit again. So we're going to check, is our bank account working? Is the Buy Now button working? We want to check our analytics and make sure that it's actually collecting data, and this dashboard is going to help you see that. We want to make sure that our blog is posting. So when we do a post, we're going to go look at Facebook, we're going to go look at Twitter, we want to go look at the social accounts we set up and make sure that our messages are getting there. We want to go and check our site for errors. I've made a link to a free little tool. It's actually quite a nice little tool made by Microsoft. It goes and spiders your whole website, and it shows you any errors, and it gives you some suggestions there. And it's a nice little tool for you to do a little site auditing thing. Then what we do is we go to Webmaster Tools, and we're going to make sure that everything is set up in Webmaster Tools. We'll look at that shortly. And then we want to go check our semantic tagging. We're going to go and apply any semantics. And that snippet I gave you guys last week in the forum is the one from SASE. All you need to do is go and copy that out, open it up, fill in all the gaps with your information, copy that, paste in the text widget. I'll show you how that looks today. And that will set that all up for you, and that's for local businesses to get that all into local stuff. Then you want to make sure that your sitemap's working, and if you go site colon and your domain name, you actually see what pages are indexed. And then finally, your opt-in forms. You want to make sure that people can contact you and reach you on your actual site. And this is what we did week 8. Okay, so let's just jump in. So we click on this download link, and once we've installed it, you'll get the WRS1 blog broadcasting dashboard. Okay. And what this does is it shows me all the sessions, and it shows me how many people are reading our posts, and we can actually see the traffic. Okay. The next thing it shows us is where's most of our traffic coming from. So it's coming from Pinterest and Facebook, and on the right I've given you a graph showing you what is dominating your social traffic. So we can see that Facebook, i.e. SASE's homepage, is sending us most of our traffic, and then the images that are being pinned are sending us the next lot in. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is, what is our top 5 search terms? Hair Port Elizabeth, hair salon in PE, hair salon in PE in Port Elizabeth. So yeah, we can see how many people are coming in, And when we see this not set, guys, this just says to us people are logged into Google, so that's why we don't pick up on the keyword. But there's still a lot of people that are giving us this information. Then, if you look what I've done here, I said how many people are reading my posts, what social traffic is driving traffic to me, which search terms are used the most to find us, what are my top 5 search terms, how much people find us to find a blog, and we can see through Google, Pinterest, and Facebook, and then which pages are most popular. So we can see our hair silo, our contact us page, the hair salon silo, and about the company. Okay, so those are our most popular pages. And then where do our readers live? So obviously the United States is you guys, but in South Africa, because of the local site, geo-targeted, there's our actual value. This is how much people are coming to our site over the actual period, okay? So in this last month, we've had 265 people hit our website, and they're doing 2.63 pages. So now that we've got these numbers, I want to ask you guys a question. What would be one of the things I would consider improving on if I looked at the users and the page sessions? Could you guys just write your answers into the window? Let's just look at this data and have a chat about it. And then what I want to do is I'm going to show you how you can actually go and edit and add to these dashboards, because remember, these dashboards are customizable and you can tweak and audit and change them as much as you want. So now that I've got these metrics, okay, let's just look at let me think here. Okay, let's just look at what posts are the most popular, or what pages, okay, and let's look at where our visitors live. What would we do here to make this add more sense to us? I just want to start talking analytics. Give me 1 if you guys are familiar with Google Analytics, and 2 if you're not. Let's just start there. I think that's probably the best thing to do. Okay, so we've got half and half. All right. Now, with our WR1, guys, remember, it's your corporate ID. It's your brand. It's your money site. We don't care if Google looks at our stuff. We actually want to use the best tools that we can, and we want to use Google Analytics to give us the feedback back, right? So with the dashboard, one thing that we can do is we can come in and we can actually start tweaking out our sites, okay? So we're looking at all the sessions. Now, I want to basically segment this, right? So one thing we can do is we can segment the traffic by where the people come from. And we're going to find that under, just looking for it now. Actually, let me just cancel that there. I want to add, okay, I want to open this up here. System custom shared sets and selected pass direct traffic. Okay. Let's take it out there. Let me just go down here quickly. I'll start off with Google, and I want to first filter by customer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little edit button over here, and in the country, I want to actually tweak this out here. Okay, so what I'm doing here, and I want to type in South Africa. Okay, I'm going to actually save that. Right, so now that we've got this here, we can actually filter out all the traffic, okay? Our pages here, we can click on this. And I'm going to add another filter here. And I'm going to only show country. That is equal to so what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm actually taking it right down to my locale, and I'm getting the actual figures, okay, for this month of what people are looking at on my actual site. Okay, how do people find my blog? Yeah, we can filter by specific search engines if we wanted to. Okay. And what's nice about this here is we can really get to see how we're interacting with our actual audience. So I'm going to click on that there as well. Users, I'm going to take language again, only show the dimension, which is our language. And it's got to be equal to Now, this applies mainly for guys that are doing a lot of local stuff. You can filter right down to see exactly where your users are coming from. Okay, so let's just scroll back up here. That's cool. How many people have seen our site? I'm going to add another filter here. Okay, that's depreciated. Let's just fix that quickly. That's one there. And I want to add a filter and let's show where, actually remove that one there, I can use this one here. So you notice here I'm using the country a lot. Stick that in there and I'm going to save that. Okay, so from 4,000 we go down to 369. So let me cancel that there. And let's look at our dashboard now. So I've localized this dashboard so that I can see exactly who my target audience is and I can see where they're coming from. I can even take it down to the actual cities if I wanted to by adding another dimension. Okay, we can create a new widget and we can actually stick it in, which I'll show you how to do now. So if we look at this, we can see from Pinterest, we've got 31 sessions. From Facebook, we've got 14 people coming in. Okay, most of the people here, let's look at our search terms. Let's treat this out here. And I'm going to come in here and add a filter, add the country locale in here. So you can even do city. So let's see, it'll break it out for us. No, it doesn't do that. Okay. City equals, let's just type in Port Elizabeth. Let's see if that'll give us the local stuff. No, that doesn't work. Okay. So sometimes you've got to find out exactly how they do the naming conversion. I'm going to just delete that there for now. But do you guys see how easy it is to take the dashboard and get down and break right down to exactly what we want to do? So I'm going to add the geomap here as well. Select the region, that's the one we want. We want the cities. Auto, and I'm going to only show South Africa country is equal to South Africa, and I'm going to save that. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'll get rid of that. Okay, give me the country. I want it from South Africa. That's not in there. Not happy with it. Okay, so let's cancel that. I'll get that out of the way for now. Okay, so let's look at this here. So the people that are from the country, basically our hairstyler is the most important one. Okay, now from this I can see that we've had 173 page views. Each guide is coming in, is looking at probably 2.5 pages. Okay, and our bounce rate is at 18%. Okay. Now we've got the bounce rate plugin installed in this blog, so this means that many of the people who have come to the site aren't really relevant, and we need to figure out why they are actually bouncing. Okay, so we can see this type of information. Another little dashboard that I've created, which I'm going to give to you guys soon, is our technical data. And over here, this is where I'm starting to look at, okay, how many people are using smartphones or tablets? Okay, so there's 191 people. How many of these people are actually using laptops and desktops? 3,185. So you can see that our audience is using still traditional laptops and desktops when they're looking at our sites. Okay, we can see the countries they're coming from. We can look at the actual devices. What are the most popular devices and which ones are bouncing the most? Okay, and then we can see the languages. Most of them are English-speaking people that are actually hitting our site. Here we can see the breakdown of the actual devices. So Apple is the biggest device that we use. So if we are building mobile sites for our website or our audience, we know that we have to make sure that it actually works on that actual Apple device. And then most importantly, here we can see the screen resolutions. And over here, we can see the cities. So from our locale, we have 110 people coming in. The rest of the people are outside of our locale. Okay, so this is the most important bit of information here for us, and we can see that bounce rate is 21%. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to improve on that. That means we've got to work on our copy. That means we've got to work on our call to actions. We have to look at our visual elements. We have to start considering. How we present the story. Do we put video into the actual page? How do we engage better with our market personality? Because we know that the market personalities like what they're doing. And I'm going to show you guys Crazy Egg. I've been using Crazy Egg for a while, and I'm going to take you guys through that as well in a minute. Okay, and then over here, browsers. What are the most popular browsers? Our website must work on Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. Those are the most popular browsers over there. Okay, so now we've got all this data. It tells us exactly what devices our market personality uses. We understand where they're coming from. Through our blog and broadcasting, we can understand exactly what keywords they're interested in. We can understand how they use the language, and it makes things much, much simpler for us. So another thing we want to do here is I'm going to log into Crazy Egg quickly, and I'm going to take you through visual analytics. Now in Tech Foundation 2, guys, I go into a lot more deeper detail where we start talking about segmentation and how to actually create your sales funnels, and we walk you through the whole process. We spend the whole session just on analytics, really getting to the nitty-gritty of Google and the other stuff. In this time with Tech 1, we just want you to use the dashboard and start looking at that, and we want to start getting you to upgrade your site so it actually works with the devices that your audience uses. Okay. With Crazy Egg, it's a little plugin you install, and it actually tracks and monitors all the pages that you have. So if we look at the index page, and we're going to look at what people are doing, a few things can happen over here. Crazy Egg helps us take out the guesswork, because we can see where people click, we can see where they're coming from, we can see where our pages are hot or cold, and we can see what is the language that they use when they hit our site. Okay, so with Crazy Egg, all these hotspots are where people are clicking. So you can see the hair silo is getting clicked a lot. When we come back to our dashboard, the home page and the hair silo was the two that had the most hits after we filtered out all the other noise. Okay, remember we just filtered this to look at the South African market. Okay, country exactly matches South Africa. Now you guys can do this for America. You could even take it down from country to city, and you can narrow right down who you're specifically targeting. So if we look at this hair silo here, we can see they're clicking on hair and they're clicking on wedding. Our banner's working, they're clicking and they're going through the banner. And then as we're going down, we can see where they're clicking on the page with these little touches. Now, often what you'll find is when people use devices like iPhones or tablets, that's from them touching the screen. So these little speckles that you're seeing is essentially where the people like to touch when they're scrolling down the page on a device. So pay attention to the hotspots, okay? Now this is the heat map we're looking at. The next thing we're going to look at is the scroll map. And this is very, very important, because when you're thinking about your sales funnel, when you're generating leads or you're wanting people to contact you, you can start now seeing where your hotspot is on your site and whether people are actually interested in your actual website. Okay, so what you got here is the homepage of Sassy, and this banner ad over here is catching all the attention. plus we know that people are clicking here and they're clicking on the wedding silo, okay? As we scroll down, we can see that they're hardly even going to the bottom of the page, which means they're not paying much attention to this layout. So looking at this, I'm going to have to think about how do I maximize this screen equity. At the moment, I've only got a quarter of my real estate that is actually active, and I'm not saying much over here. So would you give me a 1 if you think this is effective, or a 2 if it sucks? And be brutally honest, because this is what we have to do. When we come to analytics, we've got to be like Dr. Spock, and we've got to be like a Klingon. And it's to be black or white. There are no shades of gray when we're dealing with analytics. The facts are the facts, and we just have to deal with it and come up with a better solution. Okay. So my homepage of my site needs to be worked on. We need to engage with the audience much, much better than we currently are. Okay. So what can we do? At the moment, we know that we've got their attention. So our banners, our creatives have to change to attract the click or to steer them somewhere. Or we have to put in a call to action or a video. We have to do something here to engage with the people, because from analytics, we know that they're hitting our root of our site and everybody's coming in there and they're looking, and this is our first touch. So this is where we have to work on, and we have to figure out how we can get the screen equity working, okay? If we look at the confetti, what this does is it actually shows us what people are clicking on, okay? But what's great about this is it also allows us to look at the referrer, and we can actually start saying where we come. So I'm going to just go straight down to country, deselect everything, and I'm going to click on the country I'm interested in. Okay, so we've got 713 clicks in this time of tracking, and now we can see where people are actually clicking on the actual site. So the people are clicking those images there, but mainly they're on the navigation and they're going directly to where they want to be. So can you see why your silo navigation is so important for usability? Because the person will come in, they hit the website, and whatever's important to that person. Remember, your market personality is looking at your site, and they're looking for what they want. They don't care about what you're saying, and the heat map proves that. The people that are coming here are interested in their hair, and they're either interested in wedding, and those are the two of the hotspots that the people are clicking on. We can look at new versus returning. So all the new people are going straight to the hair, and then they're touching those ones, and they're going through the banners. They're actually clicking through the banners. So the banner's working. We know the people are clicking through. We just need to incorporate call to actions or promotions. Okay? Now the returning people are almost following the same type of pattern. Okay. The search terms that the people are using, now this is where things get very interesting. The people that are logged into Google are following the navigation. The people interested in wedding makeup artists are essentially clicking on the banners. They're looking for pictures. Okay, now that's also, they want to see what's being offered. People looking for makeup and hairdressers are looking at pictures. Sassy hairstyle Portisworth, they're clicking on the home, they're clicking there. Now we can start looking at the language, and we can start understanding what different market personality types are actually clicking on. Okay. Guys, can you give me a 1 if this is helping you to understand how you can really get in underneath the hood and understand what your market personality is doing, or 2 if you don't think that this is too cool and you're not too bothered with it. So I want to make sure, because I'm going to really take you right down into this. We're going to look at this, and then I'm going to ask you guys at the end of this session to sum up what you've learned over the last 8 weeks, and you're going to have to tell me what you think I should do on Sassy to make it a better site. Give me 1 if you like that idea, or 2 because you've got probably 3 minutes to think and absorb what you're taking in. I'm just doing something different with you guys today. Okay, so here we can see all the keywords that are coming in. Okay, so now we go down the list. We've been to the country, device type. So if we look at the desktops, we can see where the desktop people are looking. Okay, and with the phones, we can see what people are clicking on. Now the people on the phones, I've noted that people on phones tend to look at images more than anything else. Okay, And tablets has the same effect. They're clicking on the actual imagery and hair. Okay. Now, what I like the most is day of the week. Now, this website gets most of its traffic basically Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I found that it was a very odd pattern that it's on the even days of a week that people are coming to the actual site. So if we take a Sunday, Saturday, and Thursday and look at the top 3, we can see where these people are coming. So on Mondays, people are looking at hair, mainly. On Wednesdays, same type of pattern. And on Fridays, it's also the same type of pattern. Now we can take it right down to the actual time of the day. When do people look at the site the most? And that's between 9 and 9:30, 2 and 2:30, and the pattern follows itself again, 9 to 9:30 again. So it's 9 o'clock at night when people are at home, they're actually browsing the website, which I found was very interesting. Our audience is actually looking at the salon website when they're at home chilling out. Okay. Am I moving a bit fast for you guys? Is the screen not keeping up with my voice? Just give me a one if I'm going to slow down a bit. I've had a lot of coffee today. So I'm still a bit jacked up. Okay, cool. I'll slow down a bit, Joe. Right. So time to click is an interesting idea. Okay. When people come into the website, within 45 to 60 seconds, 253 people at the time of tracking this made a decision and they clicked on something. I just want to say that again. Within 45 to 60 seconds, 253 people have made a decision and they've clicked and they've gone to another page. Okay. Guys, just let me know if you can see the time today. Give me one if you can see time today, or is Pat's screen still stuck? I'm not sure if it's local to your machine, Pat. Can you see, Pat, can you see time to click? Just so I can make sure. Okay, cool. So make sure that you guys can see it. When we look at this here, this gives us the time delay fuse of how much time we really have with the majority of our audience to get that call to action to catch their attention right now. So on the Sassy site, from the homepage, I have less than 45 seconds to make an impact, to get them to do something if I'm trying to get leads, okay? Otherwise, they're hopping and they're going out. And we know from analytics on our dashboard over here that on average, our audience is looking at 2.5 pages. And then they're gone. Okay? Another thing I want to show you now is, okay, we've done all those important ones. Okay. Next thing I want to do is look at the overlay. Now what the overlay shows you guys is what they're clicking on, how many times they've clicked it, and then we can use the same filtering process to basically see the search, the referrer, the country, the device, the time, the day, all those metrics. Okay, so on the home button here, we can see it's in red. When you click on that, on the home button, at the time of this, we've had 309 clicks. If we click on more, we can look at 75% of our audience is new and 24% of our audience is returning. Okay. We can see that 46% comes from local search engines, 30% goes directly to the domain, and then 7% comes from Google, 3.9 comes from Facebook. And what this does is this starts showing us exactly which social properties, which search engines are working for our actual site. Bill's asking here, are these stats for the past 30 days? Bill, no, they're not. What you do with Crazy Egg is you set up a time that you want to have your website run for. So you can do it X amount of clicks, or you can do it from a specific point to an end point. Okay, so it's not for 30 days. It's just a period of time. With Crazy Egg, what you do with Crazy Egg is you track your screen for a period of time so you can make improvements. So you can do it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, depends how you want to work your schedule, and you can come back and then reflect and decide, okay, what you want to do. Now, because this is a local website and we can see via the analytics that in the last 30 days, okay, we've only had 265 people come through the website, which are local in the country. Okay, and if we go to the next screen I'm working for you guys here, we actually had 110 people hit that website through the month. Obviously, you want to have a longer period of time if that's the amount of traffic that you're getting for those keywords. Okay. Now I'm going to open up AWS stats while we're here as well, and we can actually look at the rankings in comparison. So we can start building up a data set and an understanding of what's going on in SASE for a local-based type of website, just to get some variations. Now with this website here, essentially we are ranking probably 7 times, we've got 7 or 8 times more visibility than our competitors. Okay, we've got a lot of traffic going on, and this is our visibility score. Every time I touch the website and make an improvement or optimize it, you can see how our visibility grows. Now the way that visibility works is if you're in position number 1, you get 30 points. If you're in position 31 and greater, you get 0 points. So if you're ranked in the top 30 positions, you get scored points, and that gives us the trending line that we can work with. Once we have that over there, that then allows us to actually go and do website comparisons. Okay, so if we look at the search engines, we can see how we are ranking compared to our competitors. Okay, so let's just open this up here and go to 100. And we can look at how we're ranking across all the search engines for all our keywords. Okay, so there's SASE, and there's our main rival. This is our main competitor in Port Elizabeth. So you can see all the keywords that we are ranking for in positions number 1, okay, and 3 versus what the competitors are ranked for. If we look at what they rank for, I can start seeing where they're getting traffic from, and I can start optimizing, and I can start tweaking things to take those rankings from them. So this helps for when we come to domain authority stacking. Now we can work with a clear idea. Okay, number 1, we got our key KPIs. Okay, we got our key performance indicators indicating that at this specific point in time we have 197 users hitting our home page. We've got on average a 2.63 page view, and we know that roughly between 18 and 22% of them are bouncing out. Okay, and the assumption I'm making is that the bounce out is based off, if we took this year and we started filtering this down by city, we could actually start seeing that the bounce rates will be higher on the actual city. Okay, and this is what I'm doing. So Cape Town's got a higher bounce rate, Pretoria's got a higher bounce rate, Sandton's is like 1,000 kilometers away from us. You can see those are high. Joburg, very high bounce rates. If we ordered by a bounce rate, the city's got the lowest bounce rate, okay, which is pretty good. It's not bad, but there's a lot of improvement that can happen there. Okay, so to come back to Crazy Hair quickly, and I want to show you a few more things. Search terms. Now, can you guys see this? This is pretty small. Let me zoom in here quickly for a minute so we can actually look at that. Just let me know if you guys can see this. Can you give me a 1? I just want to have a look at these search terms so you can see what's happening. Okay, so on the hair, on the home page, 94% of the people that came to our home page were logged into Google. Okay, 1% typed in the brand, so that means the brand's actually making an impact on the actual locale that we're targeting. The very next thing they're looking for is hair salons in the city, but they're not using the acronym, they're using the full word. Next, they're searching for the brand. Then they're using hairdresser in the town and the city. Now, interestingly enough, I never actually targeted hairdresser on the actual site. I never thought about using that type of term, but that's what the people are looking for. Then the next thing is hair salons. So we've got hair salon in the actual brand in the domain name, so we don't have to worry about that. It's there by default. It's in here. Then we've got hairstylists. So they're expressing, our market personalities expressing themselves using hair salon, hairstylist, and hairdresser. Then, yeah, we can start seeing some nice things which I'd like to see. Nuvo is one of our competitors. They're literally 400 meters away from us. We're actually poaching their traffic. We start to take their traffic off them. And then we got brand again. And it's 2 pages worth of things, sassy. Okay, so the branding exercises worked for the website. And we've discovered 3 terms that the people use which we can target. And when we look at those keywords, if we're not ranked for them, if we're not ranked for hairdresser or hairstylist or hair salon, then those are keywords I would consider using for domain authority stacking. Those are keywords I would target, and I build stacks specifically for those. Now, when we do this, we can work a lot smarter. We can create small footprints when we're doing our backlinking exercises. We can target specific keywords that are important, and it's been proven by the way our market personalities have expressed themselves. Can you guys give me a 1 if you're clear on that, and 2 if it's not too clear at this point in time? The reason why I tell you this is with the first part of the SASE case study, the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to prove to you guys that you don't need to have thousands of backlinks to get ranked, and we achieved that. Just with silo architecture, you can see over here that we ranked for hundreds of keywords, and we're basically on the top fold for all these keywords. We are tracking, let's have a look here. On our keyword rankings, we've got something, actually I want to show you what I do here. I go to keyword groups. Okay. Now in the keyword groups, I'm going to select all the things. I'm going to look at this in the chart. And essentially what I've done here is each silo, I've taken my starters and I've taken the DNA braid and I've dropped them into the actual silo they belong to. And I actually track and monitor and I watch the entire theme, how it moves across the search engines. Okay. So when this happens, it helps me manage the site more effectively. I can look across the entire data set and I can see how themes are moving and how they're going on. And you can see they're pretty consistent. We've hit a point now where we've reached another plateau. They're just trickling along, and this means the site needs another push. Okay. So the decisions I need to make is, okay, what are the keywords I'm going to target? What are the keywords I'm going to do domain authority stacks on that are important to my business, that will create better ROI? And the next thing I want to do is what keywords are missed opportunities, i.e. keywords in position 10 to position number 4. Which one of those can I bump to start absorbing all that traffic? Okay. And we can get this all from the analytics over here. Now, what you can see over here, this little dip that you see over here, this little dip happened when my site got hacked and they took the red slider down and the site was down for a few hours. You can actually see how Google responded. And the penalty that I took was not really a penalty, but the impact, if I can call it that, was from the 2nd of February to the 16th of February, my site dropped in the rankings. My visibility dropped. That's how important security is, okay, guys? I got the site back up in a few hours, but the reality is the search engines paid attention to this and they actually stopped sending people to my site because they knew that there was something wrong. So I want you guys to see this so that you can actually see that when you fix things, just deal with it, fix it, and then be patient. You have to be patient, okay? Jimmy's saying, how much woodchuck chuck if woodchuck? Jimmy's making jokes there. Okay, so you can see the impact there, right? When something goes wrong and you fix it, be patient because it will bounce back. This little blip that you see across my whole site, that shows you that things do bounce back because of the silo architecture. It just carries on where it left off. Okay. They actually hacked me through the rev slider. If we look at the website, the banner where the banner is, when you look at this over here, when you look at that slider, they actually hacked me there and I had to go back. And there's thousands of people that got hit and we had to fix that. So I just updated it, fixed that hole, and that sorted everything out. But they did get into the site and they tried to take it over, but they just confused things. So all I did was I went to Manage WP, got my weekly backups. I do 6 weekly backups, okay, in increments of every week. I do a backup for 6 weeks, which means I can roll back 6 weeks. And it backs up week 1, week 2, week 3, up to week 6. Then it comes back and it overwrites week 1 again, and it does the incremental backups. So I just went 1 week back, took my latest backup, reinstalled it, actually cloned the site, and it just overwrote everything and put it back to how it was. I tidied up the holes, I checked for any things that were open, and it was all back and up and running within 4 hours. Okay, so I wasn't too worried about the hack. I just rolled it back and I was up and running again very quickly. If I never had the backup, I would have been stuck, because it meant I would have to go and recreate the whole site, recreate all the content, recreate absolutely everything. Okay, so this is why I wanted to show you the implications of what happens when things do go wrong on your site, and it happens to everyone, guys. So we just got to keep a level head and be prepared for the worst, and then deal with it when it comes. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here on Crazy Egg is I want to show you list. Okay, this is quite an important thing. I'm going to zoom out slightly here just so we can get that better onto the page. Now on a list here, this is quite an important thing, because it shows me what's visible on the page, and these are the elements that are actually getting clicked on, and it gives me the elements in type. So people are clicking on a link, okay, and then they're clicking on the arrows. So those arrows are the most clicked on things, as well as the home button. You can see the percentages. Then we can see weddings next. But as we go down, we can see also which images are actually attracting people's clicks. So with the Crazy Egg, it gives me complete control of absolutely every element that is being touched on my actual site. Okay, and this is why I wanted to show you this now, because from this we can take our time and we can look at the facts, and we can understand the facts, and we can also see which elements that are not visible that are being clicked on as well. Okay, so that's all that there. So I'm going to quickly just hop through the different pages or different snapshots, and we can see what's going on. So that was the home page. Now when we look at the hair page, I'm just going to zoom into the hair page. You can see when I create my pages, I go hair, silo, landing pages. My naming conventions are very clear. I know exactly what they're doing. This one was active for 230 days, 18 hours and 32 minutes. I had 774 clicks, visits, and 850 clicks, and then the campaign stopped. So I just let it run for a long period of time because I wanted to see exactly what was going on. Why did I run it for so long? Because I only get small amounts of traffic on this actual locale. Okay, so to make a nice decision, you need at least 1,000 clicks worth of data to only start looking at things. If you get 10,000 clicks, you get a better idea. The patterns become clearer. Okay, so let's get rid of that. So yeah, we're on the hair side now. We've clicked on hair, and from hair you can see that wedding is the next hottest topic over here. Okay, you can see that the people are clicking on, is your hair dull and boring, and just not doing it for you. And I find it strange that they're clicking on just not doing it. They're clicking on that part, the pain part, they're clicking on that, which I found was very interesting. Okay, then they're having wedding hair nightmares. Okay, they're clicking on that link a lot. Okay, and the images, they're looking at all the images. So those ones pop up and they open up, and then they're going straight to the Sassy Facebook page. This is also a hot link. They're clicking on the actual pictures that we're bringing in from Facebook for the people. Okay, how hot is this page? Just going to zoom out here quickly. Okay, so here's our index. Yellow smoking hot, red 75, green. Okay, so most of this page, they're looking at this whole page. They're paying attention to everything we're saying here. Where would you guys suggest putting a call to action on this actual page? You can get some ideas from you. Should we put an opt-in form in here? Should we put in a video? What would you guys suggest we should do to improve our conversions and get more leads coming in? Just want to get some feedback from you guys just on this actual page. So Bill's saying we're going to do a video in the middle, which is a great idea. Rue's saying on the right side, video again. Rue, are you actually saying an opt-in form? Yeah, you did. Sorry, I never read the whole sentence. Yeah, where the yellow is, this is the hottest area over here. This is where the people are spending most of their time. It's because they're looking at these images. We can see it by the clicks. And then over here. So that band there, okay, this piece here above the fold, above this line, I'd say, this section here is prime property. Now, what you could do here is you could essentially push an opt-in form either above the links, or you can actually put them below, in between the Sassy Facebook, Sassy image here. We could actually put a little call to action here, a little booking form. Okay. That's what I would do over here. That's what we can do next. We can start embedding the actual lead form captures over here. Okay. I'm going to look at the confetti quickly. I'm going to see what guys are clicking on here. Okay, so let's just go to the country, South Africa, and we can see that quite interestingly enough, the contact us form is starting to pick up more and more clicks, whereas on the home page, they weren't really sold yet, which is quite interesting. Okay, if we look at the actual search terms, that's a weird one. Is hair perm available in PE? Sassy hairdresser. They're coming from Google and Bing. Okay, most of the people logged in. Okay, so let's look at the overlay. What elements are hot on this page? Okay, so brown, the contact performance, brown. 53 clicks. Wedding, we're on a page, 41 clicks. The home page, 8 clicks. So about us and contact us, these are the two hottest clicked areas on the actual page. So from the hair, people coming to the home page, they're clicking on hair, and from hair they're hopping to about us. Who are these people? And contact us. This tells us a very important story, because it means that we have to really optimize that page and the contact us page. So can you guys see how we start breaking what's important? We start extracting what's important out on our site, improving on those elements that are important already and optimizing them so we can get more people's attention, and we start focusing on the hotspots on the site. Where do we put our ads, our banner ads, our call to action? Do you guys sort of see what I'm doing here in this process and how I refine my site? Everything I do is over a period of time, because I need to see what our users are doing. I can't understand, I'm not a psychic, I don't know what they're thinking. I need to see what they're doing. This is why I use Crazy Egg, and it helps me a lot. Now you can see the images, nearly all the images are clicked. Here's the green one here as well, 22 clicks. Wedding hair nightmares versus 12 clicks. Okay, and this is where the guys are looking for someone to help them with their weddings. Okay, maybe there's call to actions here, those one-line zingers are a bit lame. We can fix those and tweak them out. But this sort of gives you guys an idea. Next thing we're going to look at now is our wedding silo. I'm going to look at that, and then we're going to work our way across to those categories. Wedding, where's it? Yeah, this is the one I'm after. Weddings, they're clicking on the actual breadcrumb. And from weddings, they're going to makeup. These are the two hot spots. They're looking at the wedding photos. So if you look at our scroll mat, let's see where the heat is on this actual page. So this page as well, this page is on fire, it's hot. It's just smoking. They love this page. They're looking at everything on this page. And remember, here's a problem. My call to action is too low on the page. Call us on our 041518 in the copy. I need to have that up higher. I need a phone number more present. Okay, so can you guys see? Just give me one if you see how quickly I can start looking at each page, and I'm making small decisions that improve things. We don't have to change everything in one shot. It's just look, adjust, test, measure, review results. Test, measure, review results. And this is how you optimize your sites to get them to become profitable, because you focus on the things that are important to your business. And for the Sassy, our goal for this site is to get the phone to ring, for people to send us emails. Okay. Right, so if we look at the confetti, what are these people clicking on? Once again, I go to the country. Country. Makeup. So they've gone from hair, wedding, the wedding people are going to the makeup. This is quite interesting, how wedding and makeup run side by side. That's what's important to these ladies. And they're looking for social proof. They want to see how good the work actually is. Okay. And I find it fascinating when I do this type of work and we come back and I review this. And we can see we're getting people from all over the world looking at the actual site. So if you look at the search terms under wedding, everyone's logged in, which was quite interesting. Traffic coming from Google, most of the people are logged in. The day of the week, Wednesdays, is wedding day. So it's funny, the stats don't lie. It tells us exactly what guys are doing. And what time are they actually looking at this? Once again, 9 o'clock to 9:30 at night. This is the time people are actually looking at this website. It's in the evenings. And the time to click, on this page, they're taking roughly a minute to make a decision. So it means they're spending time. So the longer you can get the guys to stick on the page, the better your page is actually working. Okay. Let's look at our overlay. So what I'm doing with you guys is I'm just hopping through the silos, and the reason why I'm showing you this is because I'm trying to teach you guys or show you guys how we can use analytics and tracking to actually understand the paths that people follow when they actually come on the site. Okay. So weddings there is hot. Makeup, I'm just looking for the darker color buttons. This is all pretty average. The makeup's at 7 clicks. About us 7. They've gone back to hair. That's where most of the clicks are. Yeah, 25, 13. So if I want to see who's clicked there and I want to look at where they came in from, search terms, there's nothing really. Okay, they're all logged in. Right, so let's look at the makeup page and see how it's working. Okay, so you can see the guys are moving here. They're going to About Us, wedding and hair. They're clicking on the Facebook thing. They look at the images. They like that. They want to see the face. So this is important. The reason why I'm looking at these images all the time and going back to images is because in this market personality, the ladies are visual. They want to see the result. They want to see what's in it for me. Okay. Sorry, Russ, what's that guy's name again that wrote that book? I always forget his name. What you're selling, what's in it for me, why should I believe you?
Oh, yeah. Wow, you caught me off guard with that one. Mark Joyner.
Mark Joyner, yeah. Mark Joyner wrote a book about this. Russell sent me the PDF and I read it.
It's called The Irresistible Offer. It's in our area. We provided that with you.
That's a good thing to read through because it breaks it down to like 4 key elements that he basically sums that whole book up to. What's in it for me? Why should I believe you? How do I get it? And what does it cost? And in this market personality, what's in it for me? They want to see what the result's going to be. Okay, and you can see they're clicking on the images. If we look at the scroll map, this page, you can see where they spent most of their time. Where the images are on the makeup, they spend a lot of time looking over there. Now, if we look at our confetti and how long they're spending on the actual clicks, I'm guessing the time here will be quite long on this page. It'll probably be a minute or something. Let's have a look here quickly. Time to click, 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, so no, it's wrong, totally wrong there. Okay, so they're hitting this page. The majority are leaving fast, and they're going to About Us or Weddings. So this page doesn't really do it. Okay, so I must come back, and I've got to fix this page and improve it because the wedding channel needs to get souped up a bit more. Okay, so if we look at the overlay, that image over there has got the most clicks, 22 clicks, and that tells me an important story. The ladies like to see the full facial. They want to see the lips and they want to see the eyes. Okay, that's what's catching all the attention when they're clicking there. Okay, so now the important page is the About Us page. Let's quickly have a look at that snapshot. Okay, and let's see what's going on over here. So you can see from here, from About Us, they're going back to hair, and they're going to contact us, okay? And it's just about the girls. I definitely want to get the girls in here with a video where they can speak to their audience. It's been really hard to get them. They're very outgoing, but when it comes to video, they seem to be very shy. So maybe I should give them a bottle of wine to loosen them up a bit, to get them a bit more chatty. let's have a look at the scroll map and see what's going on there. Okay, so they're reading the whole page. They are interested in what has to be said about SASE and who these people are. And if we look at the confetti, what I'm really interested in is I want to see, there's a whole bunch of branded search terms coming into this actual page. So the About Us page, Google's giving us a lot of branded terms, okay, and different ways of spelling it, okay. And then on the overlay, I want to see the difference between the hair and the Contact Us page. So on the home page, the guys are going from About Us back to home, and 6 are going to the About Us page, okay. Right, so let's look at the contact form. There's an important thing I want to tell you about contact form after I show you this last snapshot here. Okay, so you can see the send button is on fire. That's where the guys are clicking. They're filling in their message. The contact form is working. Okay, if you look at our heat map, obviously the form is going to be hot. That's where they're spending their time. The form works. When you guys set up contact forms, okay, with the SASE site, this is using HTML5, and essentially what the guys are doing is they're filling the form, they're pressing the button, but the page doesn't reload. And this is a problem for analytics, okay? You can't create a goal and you cannot track this opt-in form via Google Analytics. It's only going to always show you because it doesn't take you to a thank you page, okay? So what you need to do with these type of things is you need to go and change the default that the theme actually has and create your own contact form. I just don't have the time to do it yet. The form's working, we're getting the leads. Do I have analytics? No, I don't. Is it a bottleneck or a train smash or a problem? No, it's not. It's working. Okay. So what I want to say to you guys is, look, don't always overthink things. If it works, don't fix it until you've got time to fix it, if you want to fix it, if that makes sense. But if you are tracking your leads, if you're doing lead generation for different companies, and you are depending on tracking those leads and getting paid for those leads, you cannot use this type of system, okay? You need to create a goal where the people click on the contact form and it goes to a thank you page, okay? You need to be able to track that in your goal, okay? Can you guys give me a 1 if you're clear on that? If it's for your own website and it's your own business, then it doesn't matter. Like SASE is my wife's company, it doesn't matter. We get into contacts, the leads coming in, I'm not too bothered. As long as I keep them busy, that's what I'm worried about. Okay, so I just wanted to speak to you guys about that. In Tech Foundations 2, I go into a lot of detail about segmentation, about the sales funnel and how to actually set it all up. But at this point in time now, all I wanted to expose you to in this course at week 8 was a good system for analytics. I use AWS Cloud. I'll take you through it shortly. I use Crazy Egg because I need to know what people are doing and where I must put my visual elements and my call to actions and my banners. And then I use the dashboard, which I've created for you guys here to quickly come in. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly hop across to AWS Cloud. Then I'm going to come back to finish off on the analytics, and then that should give you guys enough information and enough tools to be able to see exactly what it is, and then I'm going to go through the questions that you guys might have. Okay, so when I track, if you're using analytics, guys, what you want to do, because we're building silo architecture sites, we're working with themes, we need to track each theme, but we also need to track the keyword DNA that we've created for that specific theme. Okay, and the keywords that are not important, we start deleting them out of the themes. So if they're not getting impressions and they're not working, then we can start whittling those keywords out, because when you dig for gold, you're going to find a vein of gold, and it's that vein that's got the value. The rest of the rock is just an expense, okay? You don't want it, and you want to get rid of it as fast as possible. The same applies to keywords, okay? We want to find out what keywords are important to the business and which ones are actually driving traffic, and then we want to focus on those. So through Crazy Egg, we can really deal with on-page factors. We get to see some keywords coming back. We get to see where guys are clicking on sites. With AWS Cloud, we can see what we rank for, and we can look at how much traffic it's bringing in, and we can start seeing it's good. So when we go to Tech Foundations 2 and we start applying all the traffic methods that we teach you guys, and you start doing your domain authority stacks, at that point in time, you're going to be ready to build your stacks because you're going to understand what keywords are important to your website and to your business. Okay, and what's nice about this is the crazy thing about silo architecture, which I love. When I was doing my market research, I noticed that the head extension traffic that was coming into South Africa was something like 6 or 8 times bigger than any of the hey keywords. There was much more traffic. So all I did was on the services page where we said we do hey extensions, I mentioned that keyword once. And what I did was I tracked the keywords because I wanted to see how much actual traffic there is and where we're ranking for it. And just by mentioning that keyword once, for hey extensions in the locale and the city, we're basically almost right there. Okay, so that's a missed opportunity. I don't have to do much work on the SASE website to get ranked for that. So all I need to really do is set up a little WooCommerce e-commerce store. I need to take some photos of the hey extensions we have that people can buy. I need to give this a little boost, and we can start selling the hey extensions online. It's as simple as that. That creates money. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is if there's keywords that you're not sure about but you want to test them, you can put them in your copy and you can actually see how Google responds to this. So we get like 70 searches a day on the actual keyword. The competition is medium. For the actual root keyword, hey extension is high. There's 4,400 searches a month. Okay. But look at the impressions. We're getting impressions from Google just for having hey extensions mentioned once in the hey silo. Okay, and it's because it's part of their theme. And the people are actually clicking through to the other website. Okay. Can you give me one if you understand what I've just said there to you? Because it's very, very important. There's the page that's actually driving the traffic. Okay, I just wanted to give you guys that little insight there because that helps you test and measure. Once your silo structures are up, you can target specific types of words for specific products, and you can actually see how far you are, and you can let it sit there till you're ready to deal with it. And as time goes on, that's going to climb. So you can look at, if we look at this one keyword here and we take those out, actually let's look at all of them. As the site gets more popular, so the hey extensions have been climbing up the search engines. Okay, so you see that training that's going on there. And this is really, really powerful stuff that we can do with this now. Okay, so another thing I wanted to show you guys was the visibility. This is a very, very important thing I want you guys. So when you move across into Tech Foundation 2, the more advanced things that you get taught by Jimmy and by Kevin and Russell and Sue and myself is silo architecture is extremely powerful. And in the case study, I proved that with 0 backlinks on a local site, we can totally dominate the visibility across the search engine. And here's a proof, okay? If we look at the visibility score in comparison to our competitors, I mean, I'm looking at Bliss. We almost 45 times. They've got 690 points, we've got 3,700. We have way more visibility online for all the tsunami keywords that Kraken's given us. Okay? We've got a much wider net online, attracting much more traffic than all competitors with 2 backlinks to our website. And that's just citation sites that have given us links. Okay? If we look at another competitor, Cam here, they're flatlining. Much more visibility. If we look at a Facebook page, the same thing. They don't have a bigger net. Is my site much bigger than them? Have I got hundreds of pages? No, I don't. SASE's only got like 15 pages in the whole site. But the point is, the silo architecture that I've taught you through this course, when you theme your site, when you build your DNA braid, and when you use the keywords and connect them like we're doing it, and we're using the internal linking power of silo architecture, we can rank for thousands of keywords with far fewer inbound links, and that's the point. We don't have to build PBNs, we don't have to do hundreds of stuff. We can get it up there, and we can reduce the IT debt that you would incur by 1,000% because you don't have to go buy domains for $1,000. You don't have to set up 10 PBNs to get the links. You don't have to jump through 50 hoops. You just build your site,
Yeah.
speak to your market personality. It's as simple as that, guys. And this is what I want to end this course off with, while showing you this and the power of what we're teaching you.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. I also want to point out to everybody that this definitely qualifies you as learning the secrets of all the other types of things that we have. As you know, SEO website silo architecture is the core because it just makes sense, right? Begin with the end in mind. If you're actually going to rank for far fewer inbound links with the proper silo structure, then it just makes all the other things that even work without silo architecture 80 to 90% more powerful, right? So this is why we organize our teaching and training in this way, to start at ground zero, so that you build, you begin with the end in mind, and your data hierarchy has all the power internally, rather than just having to spend all your money and time only focused on things like domain authority stacking and all these other things. There's nothing, in fact, these things are very, very powerful, but a lot of the time, like, we can really tell the difference when somebody comes in and they're coming from the perspective of domain authority stacking or gaming the search engines or rank hacking. All these things are very, very powerful, but they're not the only thing. People have found amazing power by building their site structure and adding the correct content and doing it in this method where they're, pushing this stone uphill, versus just, wow, suddenly it gets really easy. You have a light touch on these things and you start ranking across multiple keywords instead of one keyword and trying to manipulate things, for one keyword and spending like years just trying to get that, crawling on your hands and knees, begging for crumbs. And this is like not, SEO style architecture is all about that. So one of the things that we should do, that we wrap, what Matt and I do at the end of every certification, is talk about where you are, where you're going, anything that you ever wanted to ask but were maybe afraid to ask because you guys have been through the initiation here. Again, keeping in mind you can come back around to this training as much as you want. We expect that a lot of you are in this for the long haul. We've built relationships and been mentoring some students for up to 10 years at this point, or at least 9. So let's go ahead and talk here a little bit. The first phase of this wrap-up is I would like to hold each and every one of you accountable to where you're at without being a disciplinarian here. We'd just like to find out where you're at and how far you were able to get it through. If you are in this course for the first time, can you just give me a 1 so that I know it's the first time you've ever been through it? And go ahead and give me a 2 if you've already been through the course and you're re-auditing it. I already know you by name pretty much. Okay. So Matt, Prados, Pat, Charles, okay. I'm seeing all of you there. Marina, Mahai. Okay. Bill, I know you're auditing. Well, I know you're auditing as well. That's good. Rui, some of you are coming to CERT, which is really, really great. And you'll be able to hang out with Matt and Jimmy, Sue, myself, Kevin, Polly will be there. Those of you who are coming to that will give you some deeper insight into some other variables that is just simply impossible to teach on the webinar. You guys are, let me ask you this, how far, if you would just type in personally, only those of you who are not auditors, who haven't taken the course, just let me know what chapter you've gotten through. We've got 8 chapters, 8 weeks. What week are you on right now? It's perfectly fine. This is not a judgment. We know some of you are running full-time businesses. Believe, Matt and I know exactly what that's like. Okay, you're doing the best that you can. So just type the chapter that you're in. It gives me an overview of how you've been accelerating. Okay. So we're getting a lot of different, I promise not to call you out on it, by the way, by name. we're not here to judge. We're here to support you. Okay, so we have various chapters, but most of you are halfway through or so, or better. Now here's some good feedback. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Feedback where you might be stuck or where, okay, interesting. There is somebody stuck defining the product avatar. Yeah, without moving past that, you're going to be super stuck. So we do need to just address that a little bit. Looks like, okay, the one feed is a little bit of a hang-up for some of you. Yahoo Pipes, okay. You can use Yahoo Pipes. You can also use one feed supercharger. Okay, that's good. So most of you are at least halfway through. Silos, some technical issues with setting up silos there. Just a few minor tweaks needed there. Okay. So what was your major breakthrough yesterday? You know who just said that? I don't want to call you out unless you want to be. What was your major breakthrough yesterday? So that we know. Also, Rue expressed a major breakthrough with Matt on Wednesday. He was really quite excited. I want to thank you for telling us. You know, Matt works really, really hard, and sometimes he gets so absorbed. You know, so if you guys have things to say about him and the, you know, positive things that are the teaching effectiveness that he has, just toss it to me because he's too modest, it'll get lost. And I like to collect those, so I appreciate you doing that. Okay, your breakthrough was, Pat, what was your major breakthrough? Was it technical or more of the overall concept? Okay, silo to DWS. Okay, good. Huge progress being made by most of you, it sounds like. Okay, so these little areas where you're kind of having a little bump, bring them into the Skype room so that Matt and I can look at them and just continue to work through the modules. The first question that I see here that is probably the one that I'd like to address the most is your profile of your market. If you don't know who you're selling to, it means that your product development and a lot of the things that you're stacking on top of that is going to be affected. So you really need to go back to that. I would suggest that you go back to the module. I'm trying to remember which person this was. Who was having a hard time giving their avatar. If you don't know who you're selling to, some suggestions might be to do some real research. Go back to that module where we're showing you how to create the avatar. Again,
that's week one.
Yeah, that's week one, and that's something that I learned from Jonathan Meisel, and I know that Matt learned it as well from various sources, and he's been doing it for many years. You're going to have to find, there's several ways to find out who you're selling to, and that's to go and look at all the people who are selling that product online already. Take a look at their website. Again, go back to that. Take a look at their websites and look at the tendency, because we actually talk about that in the module. You can even use some anecdotal research, okay, you know, such as the age group and the class, and you can use some of those website tools that we left you in there. You're going to have to, that's, again, I'm really adamant about that. Find who the buyers are. Go to Amazon products that are similar. Here's another tip for you. This might be helpful. Go over to Amazon, and if your product is available on Amazon and it's something that can be sold on Amazon, start looking at the product reviews. And you can actually, if you're trying to build your avatar, you can click on the reviews and the comments of the individuals. And sometimes if they're a paid reviewer, I'm not a paid reviewer, but they're a paying customer who has reviewed the product, they'll have their own kind of profile about who they are and what they are. Again, these are just, I'm trying to give you ideas of ways that you can create an avatar. Here's the challenge, is a lot of people are not able to build a customer avatar because the product's not available anywhere, or they don't have a comparative product, which is also a problem. If you're so niche that you don't even have a way to decide who your market is, that's worth it. I don't really recommend that you do your first website on something like that, because you don't really need a silo. If you're that niche, you've got a brand new product, you're the only one in the world who makes it, and you don't really want to answer questions that the market is not yet asking, at least not for your first website. Okay, so that's my only concern about that. If you're having a hard time creating the avatar, sometimes that's because it's too new or it's too much of a niche space, so check that out. Pat is saying that the breakthrough was small businesses were asking him how to get to page 1 of Google. So organic SEO is my product, getting businesses to page 1. Okay. Yeah. Trying to be diplomatic about what I say about that. Avatar 35, 55, mainly men, small business owners in business for a few years. Okay. Problem with the avatar has been the whole concept discovered by the first time, then defining what it is. Gotcha. Okay, that's your product. So, well, that's actually pretty good. At least you kind of know they're small business owners. And again, you can go deeper into, I mean, you know, what keeps people up at night, Pat, right? Why, you know, you're saying, okay, you're saying your product, you've decided that your product is getting a website to page 1. Okay, and you're obviously saying that that's a product that you can deliver, which is great. By having that profile, you You know, a lot of what happens even in sales, my first, you know, before I hung out with Sue and started building, you know, software and building some pretty big companies, my first job, I'm kind of making myself transparent to you guys, I launched a website called dells.com and whisktravel.com. They're now like huge domain authority, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of, I left my legacy when I left that company. But one of the things that we had to do is we went door to door selling, you know, rankings and traffic off of dells.com, and then we started selling SEO. And it really was interesting, you know, to agree with your avatar. Most of them were men just trying to feed their families, you know, entrepreneurs in a big travel town. You know, and they did vary. Sometimes there was female owners, but it was a pretty, you know, small percentage. But you got to know those people. A lot of the process, part of the reason that you have that avatar is because it's still about selling. At the end of the day, people who are buying your services for rankings, they're just people. And you got to talk to them as if they're people, and you just make things really, really simple to them. But at the same time, if you don't know who you're selling to, you don't know what they care about. You know, one of the things that I found out when I was selling SEO door to door in 2004 is that people don't always care about ranking, and ranking is a part of it. What they really care about is their business being successful, and that's kind of a weird twist because I'm just tossing this out here. It's kind of slightly tangent, but I just wanted you guys to know it. We were making a certain amount of money when we started selling, when we were selling rankings, making the presumption that some of our customers cared about ranking in Google. But when we started to make the twist that we could get them more traffic, and that when we started focusing on their business instead of just only the rankings, they spent more money with us. So that's kind of a weird thing, isn't it? But at the same time, we were also able to manage their expectations because, you know, page one rankings, you better really know your stuff if you're going to if that's actually going to be your product. In other words, you don't really want to offer products that you can't really deliver on. If you can deliver on them and you're awesome at it and you're able to implement what it is that we do and what you do, then that's really, really great. And almost everybody can appreciate your first page at Google, right? Just make sure you can deliver on that. But also when you're an example of why you create an avatar is when I really sat down and cultivated my avatar when I ran dells.com, it was, as the profile developed, it sort of became obvious that a lot of the people were not very technical. Like I could talk my technical mumbo jumbo. For example, I put the average education on there. I also put, you know, that this person probably only gets on the internet. You know, back then, a lot of the businesses in Wisconsin Dells were not really super internet savvy. I mean, it was all pretty new back then. I know it's hard to remember. But the bottom line was that I was overly technical with them. And when I fleshed out that avatar, I became less technical. And when I fleshed out what they care about, your avatar shouldn't just be this pretty picture of like, okay, cut out a person and stick them on the wall. You really want to write what they care about and if they can even understand what you're trying to talk about. So it will change the sales pitch. Like, so imagine you're trying to sell them the product or the service right in front of them. They're just sitting with you at lunch, okay? And what happened when I did that is it really changed my pitch because what I thought the market wanted was not something that they really cared about. Now, Pat, you probably nailed it, and that's awesome. I'm just pointing out, you know, what happened to me, just sharing my own stories because that's really what it's about. And Pat's saying here, agreed, most aren't tech-savvy. SEO or Google is a big, scary, unknown place. All they really want is their phone to ring, but I can't guarantee conversion. Whereas I believe, yeah, in fact, Pat, one of my greatest inventions ever that probably made me the most money ever was a little trick that I called the qualified least imperfect score. And what it did is it was designed to help people understand how small the search engines actually are. It really actually blew their minds. And what you do, and when you shrink the size, it's called a shrink in the book called Switch. Okay, Chip and Dan Heath, you guys, is one of my favorite. They're authors that are brothers. They created Made to Stick Switch. They have something called Shrink the Change, shrink the size. And every once in a while in your career, you have a light bulb moment creator that it doesn't matter where and how you bring it out, it's always going to work. And it's kind of interesting, Pat, because it really worked in the technical. And for anybody who really thought Google was really, really huge, what I call the qualified least imperfect score was something that worked every time. And what that was is if somebody thinks that, okay, you're trying to get your website ranked, and we had some pretty big, things like the keyword bankruptcy was one of our clients, and then we had, of course, small and local. When you type that in the search engine, if you go to the bottom, all you have to do is extend your search function to 100 listings at a time. Does everybody know how you can do that on Google? Instead of just 10 at a time, you just change your custom settings. What's interesting is even if they say there's 35 million results, if you extend that to 100 and click all the way and look at the bottom, it'll say, okay, well, there's 9, it'll show you 9 100 listings for that keyword, right? But if you click on number 9, it suddenly switches to 4, which means that Google is lying through their teeth to you about every single thing. Okay, it means there's only 400 actually unique listings when they say there's 350 million. I could show this to you guys at some point if you wanted to. It still works today. I mean, Jimmy and I were looking at some things yet last week. Okay, so what that means is if you're sitting there in front of a client that is savvy enough to understand this, what you've just done is you've just shrunk the change. They said, well, people literally think that there's 35 million websites out there for a keyword like bankruptcy, and for local, it's even weirder. There's like 100 or less competitors. You guys understand what I'm saying? And I literally I showed that to them in 5 minutes or less, and suddenly their whole universe literally flipped inside out. And they're like, are you saying that there's only 200 people ranked for the word Wisconsin Dells Water Park that have unique content? And and I said, not only that, there's only 50 websites really that even have it on their site. And I showed it to them in 30 seconds or less. And these are the types of shrinking the change that speaks to people's pain, a little bit. I just want to throw that tip out to you, Pat, because that is a big one. When you become the messenger that makes the big, bad, scary animal kind of small and tame, when you're able to shrink the change, little tricks like that with the data, then suddenly they become your best friends. And then you obviously are viewed in their eyes as being incredibly powerful. Yeah, I can absolutely show that to you. Does anybody else want to see that little trick? Since this is our close, I was wanting to give you guys some kind of closing bonus. I thought it would be amusing for you. Anybody else want to see it, or should I just create a video? Okay. Yeah, okay. And this is, again, I did this in 2007. I closed a $40,000 contract with this one time. I didn't even really know what I was talking about back then. So really, this is like data magic. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here.
Should I push the screen, Russ?
Yeah, let me just make sure my settings are, sure, pass the screen my way.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Here you come.
I know this is overkill. We're kind of a little bit sidetracked, but I feel like this is relevant to the avatar in a weird way because the connection is this, guys. The avatar that I created for my first client at Dells.com in 2004, before I met Sue, and she kind of whipped me into shape. This is the site that we built, right? There's $170,000 worth of ads per year on just this page alone that I originally designed. Okay, so we knew our stuff. We were selling banners. This is a really, really ugly website, right? But it makes a lot of money, really a lot of money. And again, some of these banners and these concepts, we had to create. When I came on board with this company, and it was interesting. It was a lot of fun. But this is where I had to create my first. I'm just talking kind of off the cuff with Pat here. And so there was a lot of big websites I built, like the Wilderness Resort. Yeah, I built that. This was not small, and it's horribly optimal. It's not back then. SEO was not even a real optimization. It's got a page authority 57, a domain authority 49. Not horrible page authority, right? A lot of shares. Look at the Facebook shares, right? So back in the day, these are the kinds of people that I was talking to. So when I was building my profile, I had to really think about you guys all know how I can kind of geek out, and there's a lot of geek technobabble, right? Well, you can't afford to do that with these guys. I still remember Martin, who was the CEO, SEO, this guy. He was like, I'll never forget this guy. Tell me like I'm a 12-year-old. He literally just said, slow down, tell me. And I started to realize, what does he care about? Okay, our larger clients who were paying us more money, the avatar was, okay, usually a male, 35 to 45, family. He gets a salary, right? He gets a pay, and what does he care about? Well, what he cares about what his owners, I ended up meeting the owner, care about. So I just put the whole thing like, what does he care about? He cares that he gets more traffic. And then I would go next door, and the other person cared about rankings. Now, rankings do equate to traffic, but there were other things that we did for him because we own the banner system. So the point is that once you know what somebody cares about, you can deal with that. Okay. Matt, I don't really understand what that, Matt Protos, I'll have to look at your question right there. But one of the things that I realized is when I went, I think it was either the Wilderness owner, it might have been the Bartlett's place, I can't remember, but they ran a lot of the companies in the Dells or Noah's Ark, and they really had this idea for wilderness resorts, you know. I think it was water parks. Okay, there's a major keyword which they didn't even really want to rank for, but they really wanted like water park resorts, right? Okay, so if you look at that, you can see that water park resort obviously, can everybody see my screen? I'm sorry, Matt, can you hear me? Did I lose my connection?
No, you're perfect.
Okay, sorry.
See the screen as well.
All right, cool. You can see that there's 51 million results, right? You got to, like, as I started talking to these guys, they were really under the impression that there's 50 million websites. That you guys got to understand, like, people don't really know what's going on. Oh, there's 51 million websites. Like, for them, that's just pure overwhelm. Of course, you know, if you want them to be overwhelmed, these were all my clients. Great Wolf was a client. And they're not all in Wisconsin Dells. And they just wanted Water Park Wisconsin Dells, which is a long tail for local, which is really easy. But the point is here is I have my search results selected to 100 results, you guys. You can actually do that inside the search tool settings or in the custom settings. So you can see that there's 100 results here. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. Everybody's always looking at the search engines, guys, at 10 at a time, because that's how most how most custom users look at things. But that's not how I view the search engines almost ever, unless I'm trying to look at rankings from the perspective of clients. If you go down to the bottom of this, okay, there's 100. See down here where it says there's 8 listings? That means that there's 800 more results, right? Give me a 1 if you guys can see that. Just making sure you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm doing. Okay. So just click on that 8, and then scroll back down there again. Wait a second. Liars. How many is there now? Liars. Liar, liar, pants on fire. The first time I ever did this,
Result at top.
I want you guys to know exactly what's going down here. This is a secret, and I have taught this many, many times before. We have all kinds of things that I use this for. Okay, this is so bad as to be comical. Remember what happens. I'm talking to you guys about the neuromarketing of client-based getting. You want to talk about client getting? I made $40,000 with one trick alone, okay? Of course, not really. I mean, we had to build the website. It was this guy. He was like, whoa, no one's ever told me to that. And 10 other SEOs came by. He had 10 SEOs pitch him that same month before he went to me. And not only that, he was friends with the owner of Adlet, where I worked, had a condo there. And he still wasn't sure if he was going to go with them because they sold condos as well on the back property. This is a big place. It's actually a nice place, if you like that kind of thing. Let's go back to the story here, because this is not just a technical eureka moment I want to give you guys. It's also a neuromarketing eureka moment that might help any of you who are trying to sell SEO, because not everybody is. And if you're not trying to, that's great too. So Google is lying to us. I also want to let you know, in 2007, I did this right in front of Matt Cutts at the conference in SEO in Nevada, and he walked away. You hearing me? He literally walked away.
Could you show us the results from 50?
Oh, yes, I will. Just hang on to your hats. I'm only getting started. Okay, so if your client thought that there was 35 million websites, which is nonsense. And Sue will tell you that it's just a eureka. It's just, she calls it, I think, on the OMG webinar, she had a really funny name for it. A thumb suck, yeah. That's her definition of saying that we have another term for it that we use in-house, but I can't repeat here. Pulling it out of your hat. The rated PG version of that one is pulling it out of your hat. Okay, so you guys need to realize what's happening here. If Waterpark result in the broad match said 35 million results, let's go back a screen. Let's just see that again, just so you guys really know what the impact.
51 million.
51,800,000 results is what this leads you to believe. Or I'm not saying Google's trying to lie outright. I'm saying that this is an estimation, but most of your clients, and probably even most of you, somehow think that there are actually 51 results. Now, in the Dells, a lot of my clients actually believe that that was 51 million websites. When I say Matt Cutts walked away, he just kind of, it was interesting because I was talking to one of the gals there that was hired, one of the temps at Google, and we were at the Google nightcap party. I was a little bit tipsy, is that the word I should use? So our invitation, I had just had a nice, drink with Matt and asked him, Matt Cutts, and asked him, whether or not the Google Notepad, I was really excited about Google Notepad because I was getting rankings from Google. Does everybody remember Google Notepad? So I was asking him if they plan on keeping that project. By the way, 4 months later, they got rid of that project. It was a Friday project. But I'll never forget, he said, well, it's a statistic. He gave me some long answer that it was a statistical blah, blah, blah of the blah, 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 technical. What are you really trying to say? And that they do the best that they can, essentially. So you should have seen the look on the Google the girl. She was about 18 when I did this in front of her on the TV set on the wall at the Google nightcap room where we were having our drinks. And you got to understand, I would never do this now. I was young and stupid and showing off. And I thought that I knew something, and it was a bit naive for me to do that, okay? So, no, and it wasn't that Matt couldn't deal with the truth. It's just that there's a lot of answers to that, and it's not really what he's speaking to. So if I click on number 8, and it drops from 51 million results to 295. Why does it do that? It just went from that many to page 4 of about 295 results in 0.8 seconds. All right, let's go down to the bottom, and you can see that even down here, the results have changed. Here's what I'd like to talk to you guys about. And again, it's this type of trick and many other tricks like this that we try to give you over time. Notice that I waited for this one until we got through certification level 1, right? Because now you can get a general idea. I'm shrinking the change for you, and you can shrink the change for your clients. And it's not just this type of method you can use. There's all kinds of ways to change people's world to make you the only viable option for their business, just like I did with Wilderness. Anything below this line is what they're really saying is anything over 306 results is probably dupe content. Give me a 1 if you understand what I'm saying here and what it really means. Give me a 2 if you don't quite understand what it means. Okay, that's all right, Pat. It means a lot. It means that there are not 50 million websites or even 50 million pages that are worth a crap on this topic. There's about 300. You are not competing for rankings out of 50 million pages. You're competing for rankings out of about 300. Got it. Okay, you got it. Good. Now, if I go phrase match, it even gets more funny. It even gets more hilarious. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We're going to get, again, these are the things, by shrinking the universe. Here's another thing about Jimmy Kelley, for instance, or Matt, or when Jimmy is looking at these things, his whole mind is already doing the numbers and the complexity and the variables, all entitled. There's all these variables. If you click the repeat the search with the omitted results, and scroll down to the bottom again, of course, look, now you have, it's escalated back up to 9. Because now you said, it's okay, Google, give me all the bad canonical and the repeats and the dupe content on page, which is like 90% of the world. It's just putting this, double pages and dupes and all the thing that Jimmy and Matt and Sue are telling you not to do. Like, don't have dupe content on your site. This is the reason why. Because it just finds itself at the bottom of the Google barrel. Okay, so what I'm really looking at here is if I click on the 9 again, What's really going on here? Okay, 8 of 49,000. Now, what that means is that the majority of those 50 million pages were dupe contents or useless content or just bad. That would be one interpretation. Okay, but here we go. Check this out. It used to be that there was, on average, 10. I haven't found a keyword, even a highly competitive keyword, that has 10 or 1,000 results yet. What we're really seeing here is if we're on page 8, that means there's about 760 results. Okay? And what I used to do, which was kind of funny, if there's 760 results, here's the Wilderness Resort. I remember one time I found my friend's site. This is again out before I closed the $40,000 contract to rebuild their site, Wilderness. I found him on page 700, 7, which is 700. I actually found him down here. I showed it to him in real time. And I was like, oh, and by the way, what you doing down there? Okay. So that's a little trick I wanted to give you guys, is that you're not really competing with that many pages. And once you begin to shrink the change for yourself, for those of you who are not selling SEO, this might be something that's too complicated to share with most of your clients, but this is something that came in very, very useful for me. And I just wanted you to be aware of the neuromarketing process here, of making the world smaller and less difficult than it actually seems up front to a lot of people. And additionally, I want you to be aware with your rankings, SEO, how many of these 800 sites for the word water park resort do you think are actually SEO siloed in the way that Matt has been showing you the last 8 weeks? Just give me an idea. You guys think any of them? Well, it depends on how popular the method's getting, right? Okay. Good. Very few are going to be. That's right. Probably the one that we worked on, and that Jasper, who is our old friend who follows a lot of our stuff, who's probably siloed some of those things. But that's the advantage there. Okay? So that's a little trick.
You're going to phrase match, Russ, so I can just see it
Sure.
even more.
Yeah, it's kind of amusing, If you take something like this and you go, okay, there's 404,000 results in the phrase match. You go down there, it's giving you 600. And if you click on this, this page 6, let's see, you got, then they really, okay, oh, sorry, lying. This is page 3 of about 256 results. Okay, and then you go down. So there's about 250 people that have unique, that the page is qualified as least imperfect than anything below this watermark. Everything else is repeating. It's probably pages from the same sites, or else really bad pages, like optimized so badly as to be penalized.
You saw a lot of TripAdvisor sites at the bottom of the barrel.
Somebody put out a word that they're ranking for right now. Somebody give me one of their words that they don't mind sharing. It will be in front of everybody else, if you guys even care. We'll try one more, just to give you guys the idea of how this works. Okay, Bill. Bill says I can share that one. Chinese astrology. Okay. 2 million results, right? Well, 500, 5 pages. Oh, sorry, we mean 260 decent results. I think you can handle that one, Bill. What do you think? And again, I know I'm being a little bit oversimple, because what you do have to do, there's another factor in here. That's when you're looking at this, go ahead and you've got to look at your domain authority, page authority. That's, Rand's tool is at least anecdotal. Okay, it doesn't work very well on the, I just use 100 queries when you're on the 100. But you can see that what you're dealing with is obviously my little idea that, okay, there's not very many results. That's not the only thing you need to be watching, right? But it sure does shrink the change, doesn't it? If that shrinks the change for you guys a little bit, helps you roll up the carpet a little bit, give me a 1. If you're just kind of like, well, that doesn't really matter, give me a 2. And that's okay, by the way, if you find that unimpressive. But it has always blown my mind since 2007, because every time I talk to somebody, you can see it in their eyes. Oh my God, there are so many websites all competing. No, there's like a few big authority sites, and Jimmy says this time and time again. Matt's talking to you guys constantly about this. This is what's really going on. Now, one of the things that you'll find, that's why Matt designed Domain Authority DWS NE Silo Builder, so that we would look at we used PageRank to look at the top. We're shifting some of that over to be domain authority over the next couple months. Point is, you still have to, you still have to take an average.
As well.
What's that?
I've made a little update to that as well, guys.
Yeah.
So you can just get your average DA in DWS and it'll give you a gauge.
Yeah, and you see, because once you know that, and then you've got this stuff, I mean, you do have some high domain authority sites. You still have to be aware of that. If you're trying to get the #1 position, what you're really up against is like 3 or 4 sites. And then you'll also find things like, you know, when you do go past the waterline at the bottom into things like, okay, sorry, I was lying. There's only 200 decent pages. The rest are just repeats. A lot of the times you'll find in these omitted results, you know, just secondary pages or canonical issue problems or from the same sites that you already looked at. By the way, I designed a software spec in 2008 that we never fully got around to building. It's still on the drawing board where you just be able to do this on a large scale and look at it, but it's pretty data intensive, you know, just kind of a side mark there. So when you really look at that, that should give you a good idea. Once you know what that is, you can generally take a look at what's happening here and take a look at your PADA. Now, when you silo internally, what happens is you're creating, like Matt's shown you, you're creating all that juice internal to the page, which really lifts the odds of being at the very minimum in the top 50 to 100, okay?
Yeah.
Despite the DA, and then at that point you're only you're only competing for the power, which is here. You know, you're dealing with that, and again, the domain authority does matter. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but it does at least let you know when you look at that roll up, and then you look primarily at the DA, the power and the trust, and the first 10 sites on the regular view. That'll give you an idea of what kind of power you're going to have to generate and what strategies you should really want to. Okay, so I thought you guys would enjoy that. And again, I bring it back. This is kind of an impromptu rant because that moment that I closed my first contract for $40,000, you guys got to remember, for Sue, that type of stuff was no big deal. She was like, yeah, okay. I mean, by that time, she was already seasoned vet. But for me, I had never made more than like a $97 ad sale for a banner, right? Now, I made a lot of money on those banners, but I had never had a deal that big. And when you remember a light bulb moment making you that much money, when a light bulb moment makes you that much money, you never forget it. So try to find your light bulb moment in your industry. Try to find, that's just one of many, many light bulb moments that I've generated over my years of experience. And they're not as hard as you think. Like, did you notice that I didn't use complicated software? I mean, when I actually started taking Domain Web Studio reports into the client recently, you know, this is years later, obviously, that's a whole other level of crazy, right? Because you're giving them light bulb moments all over the place. As long as you're able to shrink that change for them, show them why, show them the projections, give it to them in a way that they can understand, that their avatar understands. Pat is asking, is there a way to get Google to tell you how many unique sites there are? Well, that first listing doesn't really give you, but you can just do site : as far as I know, there is no Google operator that sorts out unique sites. They're only dealing with URLs. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Jimmy would have to tell you, or Matt would have to tell you. I've never seen that.
Yeah, Google ranks pages, guys. So if you just focus on the positions 1, 2, and 3, that's where the traffic flows, and that's where you need to be.
Exactly.
Everything above that's just like minimal. You're getting like a fraction of what's actually there. So I typically look at the guys in the top 5 slots, and that's who I go for.
Yeah, exactly. Matt, you can take back a few. And I'm looking at Chinese astrology. I didn't expect it, Bill, to be as competitive as it is. I'm a little surprised. You've got some contenders up there. Astrology.com, obviously. There's quite a bit of power in this niche.
Yeah, there's wikis there.
What are you selling, Bill? Are you selling Chinese astrology books, or you're gonna? This is fairly. I'm just a little surprised. It's not that you can't deal with it, but ads. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. So let's just move on to the next topic. I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope it was useful. Where are there any other stuck points that that you guys want. Is there anybody that has already got their site up and has a buy button on their website? Everybody should at least have a buy button up somewhere. So anybody who does not have their buy button up on their site, give me a 1 if you do not have a buy button on your website yet. Okay. Okay. You're all grounded.
Welton's got his up.
Yay, did
well
you?
done, Welton.
Hey, Welton, can you drop it for me here, the link, so I can, I'm not going to show everybody, but I just want to see it myself. Okay. Let me just ask, I'm going to go through each one of you one at a time. Oh, membership site for readings bill. Okay, got it. Interesting. Are you going to have an affiliate program for that? There may be some ways that you can use the backlinks to really give you some power on that. Okay. And lectures. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating, Bill. I didn't expect, I mean, again, it doesn't intimidate me. I'm just a little surprised. I expected like 30. But I bet there's a lot of long tails in there. I can almost guarantee that these guys are missing out on a huge number of long tails around that topic. Also some weird tails. Also, Bill, this would be pretty good for pinvid stuff, astrology, like all day long, you know, and other things like it. Okay,
There's
thanks.
a lot of irrational passion in that niche.
Oh, it's so irrational passion, like it's full on. And it's connected indirectly to a lot of other areas study. Lots of graphic images, yeah, totally. Good stuff. And definitely should be on Pinterest, as you know. I don't know if you know, Bill, that astrology connoisseurs are 85 to 95% women. I'm sure you knew that. But your avatar should be really, really, really clear. Okay, let's see here. We've got, okay, let me ask you, Nina, can you just maybe type in simply a simple comment? What's blocking you from getting a buy button up? Because we told everybody to get a buy button up. Is the product not ready? Do you have a shopping cart issue? Is it just a little, you're not sure, like you didn't want to ruin the site structure? That's one thing that we hear a lot. By the way, that won't ruin it. Shopping cart not ready, merchant account, just toss out a meaning, like what's going on for you. We're just actually also trying to find out what might be affecting other people. Oh, okay, no problem. So you're just mostly dealing with the time constraints of life. But everybody, remember, we did tell you, like, get a page up. It can be an orphaned page with a buy button. It was mostly a mindset issue. We just wanted you to elevate that something happens when you get your buy button up. Okay, Weldon's sending me his buy button. I'm looking at it now. Put it out there, and someone might click it. And you never know. There's also offline and multi-channel mediums. Can't tell you how many times that I've needed a buy button for like phone calls or meetings. And okay, Matt's saying that he's waiting for the DBA to come through to have the right name on the statement. Yeah, that's actually good. It's a good reason not to have a buy button, not Matt. Matt Prados was just saying that he doesn't have it up because it would be an accounting nightmare for him to actually make a sale. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. I actually had that problem last week as well with something we're doing. Another person, Stan, is letting me know that he has a service and he uses an onboarding program for appointments. Yeah, you don't sell it online. Interesting. So Stan, you have to go through, if I wanted to buy something from you, I've got to opt in to the opt-in, and then I have to, how do you contact me to schedule it? How do I buy? Oh, so I have to call you directly from the site? So there's not really a buy button. So you got your phone number up there, right, Stan? Okay, he's got his phone number up there, so I got to call you directly. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I know what that's like. And opting in works. And so if I opt in, is it a form or is it just a general opt-in, like a newsletter opt-in? Okay. Very cool. Let me just ask one last thing. Okay, Matt Prados is telling me more. He's got the product filed as soon as it is in use using Stripe and Barmetrics. Excellent. And your new software as a service product. Cockpit Metrics sounds very familiar. Okay. All right, good. So these are some of the various reasons, and a lot of them are really legitimate reasons for not having your product ready enough. One of the not legitimate reasons is waiting for perfection. That's my point. You guys get that, right?
Yeah.
We're not waiting for perfection. And also the misnomer is I can't put a buy button page up if my silo site's not done. No, put your page up there. It is something that we teach if you possibly can. Because, for instance, Matt Prados is mentioning how many clerical issues that he faces to get things properly in order. One of the cool things that happens by just trying to get the buy button up is it forces you to be aware of some of the obstacles that you have on your plate, and then you can start to get those balls in motion. Okay, and by getting those balls in motion, by the time you can still keep the website silo architecture being worked on. You can still work with your team. And then by the time you're ready to launch, you don't have all those. There's nothing worse than the site's ready to go and the content's ready to go, and you find out that you don't have a PayPal account tied to the right bank. You know. All right, you guys. Good. Okay. Let me see. Is there any? How many of you have been really affected positively by, especially the new guys? I know the guys recurring. How many have been very, very positively affected and feel it in your bones? You know, you can feel it in your body that you're going to be able to complete this process at some point in the future. I'm giving you a non-specific here. Give me a 1 or a 2 if you are actually extremely frustrated and feel like you really don't know at all what's going on week 8. And you don't even really think that you can figure it out. That's what I'm really looking for. Matt's saying I'm not sure that there's a complete, but I'm in the process more now than ever before. Everybody respond, please. Honestly, it's completely fine. That's what we're here for. We always got to get feedback on the course. We always want to make sure that our members are there. Okay. Excellent. I appreciate the positive feedback, and we are welcoming all feedback. Okay, good. Wow, hugely positive, which is great. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about where to go from here. There are, that's okay, Pat, you're doing great. Doing great. Pat, may I read yours out loud? I think that probably resonates. Okay. Pat says he knows he can get there, just going to take a little bit longer than he first expected. And that's not uncommon for projects. I think other people can resonate. Okay. Yeah. Vigato is talking about learn so much and hope to take a lot more of the courses to learn each level. Okay. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Matt's saying it would be great to have members show their sites on these calls. I agree. You know, we've had a conundrum about that, Matt. There's varying levels of discomfort and comfort in revealing people their own personal sites. If any of you ever wanted to do that, we could. One of the reasons we have the monthly Network Empire Bring Your Own SEO Silo webinar is because that's an environment where we have said, hey, if you've got the guts, and a lot of people don't, by the way. Yeah, we could turn off the recording on that part of the call. You're absolutely right, Matt, we could. Okay. I'm all for seeing and showing. Yeah, Charles, I agree. Okay, we'll definitely take a look at that. Have you guys been on the Network Empire Bring Your Own SEO Silo monthly webinar that we have the first Tuesdays every month? Okay. Yeah, we do that once a month. You guys are saying you'd like to see more of that. Okay. Good to know. That's actually super helpful feedback. Wide varieties of examples. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because it requires a certain degree of trust. One of the things that happens at CERT, again, this is not an upsell in any regard. I'm just saying that it is interesting how people open up in a warmer environment. They feel a little bit, they get to know each other, you know. I don't know what it is. I've always had a hard time getting people to be super forthcoming in an environment unless everybody knows each other. So let me think that through. It is a mastermind group, which is why we have CERT. That's really where we do a lot of that. In fact, I back engineer your entire business with Matt and Sue, and Jimmy back engineers the backlinks. Matt does the structure. We talk business, return on investment. Like, it's pretty huge. And you can look. We have that overview at futureproofempire.com and give you that overview. but yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that people trust each other to go, to be able to look at that stuff. But okay, good point. I'm going to take that to heart, Matt. What was I going to? I was going to ask one other thing. Problems. Pat is saying, problem I now have is a list of potential clients wanting me to rank their sites. Yeah, one thing I would say, if I were to be radically honest, is I learned pretty hardcore. That's one of the reasons I got into Wisconsin Dells and my career there, Pat, is I accidentally sold 13 banners where there weren't any positions left once. And it's not the same. And yeah, what happened is that 2 of our agents had sold at the same time. And I went out there and I actually sold some stuff I couldn't deliver on. And that's not the same as rankings. But I also sold rankings once that I couldn't deliver on. I only did that once in my entire career, Pat. And so now you've got a list that you've got to deliver on. And so one of the things that's happening is if you're spending a good deal of time promoting your business but not developing your operations department, Matt and I get into a lot of operations stuff at the live event. Because you only have, you have 4 primary aspects of your business, right? MOFL, marketing, operations, finance, and legal. Matt and I do a Friday bash where we literally, one student at a time at the live event, we take apart your business piece by piece and department by department. And it's kind of interesting because most people are really focused primarily on promotion, which is good. But really what you're looking at, Pat, is operations, like how are you going to deliver those rankings? And it's great that you've got, clearly, Pat, you've sold. You have no problem selling. And you're not the only one who's faced that challenge. I have another gal who I'm dealing with in the UK who's, by the time I was done talking to her, I wanted to hire her for Network Empire just to sell our stuff. But
is that the one that AI did this?
Oh, yeah, she made me look bad. I said, you sold how many local rankings? 200. And who is going to deliver that for you? Oh, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Ouch.
That's a good
That's
point,
just, guys, don't do that. Don't do it. Build your internal delivery system first. This is why I'm talking about the buy button thing, because that's the thing that happens is when you get that buy button up, Matt and I take you through the process of visualizing what happens when somebody's going to buy it. And so what we say is, so what? Then what? Then what? Then what? I can't tell you how many people are just like, okay, sell it first and figure out how they're going to deliver it later. You can do that with things like books or products or tangibles for a moment because you can give refunds. The challenge is that if you have a delivery system and you can't really manage expectations, you got to make sure that you can deliver it. I just don't want you guys to get in a place where
yourselves.
Pat's like, oh, well, yeah, so what I do, Pat's like me, and like I did that in the early years. Okay, go out and sell it because it forces you to learn how to do it. Now, yeah, that'll definitely light a fire under your ass for sure, Pat. You're gonna have to deliver those rankings. Okay, very cool. Yeah, you got to learn. Yeah, but again, these are all things worth considering. Vigaro, I gotta make sure I pronounce your name. Vagaro? Hope I got your name right. He says, when will the certification curriculum be updated for the rest of the year? Just would like to know when our other certification level will be offered the rest of the year, just so I can plan my year. Okay, gotcha. A couple of things. If you're in the certification program, we have a lot, our desire was to try to roll these things out as they came out, but if you need, there's some basic things that you should be able to get right out of the gate. Why don't you see me privately on that? For instance, you should be able to get access to the upgraded modules. Okay, so we've got to make sure that we've got everything unlocked for you. And some people we found out didn't even know that some of the stuff is already unlocked for them. Okay, and by the way, for instance, if you wanted to take the video, if you were really ready to take the video traffic course, I would make sure that you have that if you're a paid cert student, okay? So just ping me privately, because some guys are thinking that everything gets opened as it gets opened. Just contact me and I'll walk you through that. Now, Welton's asking, is there a visualization process for Tech 2? Yeah, Vagato, you probably have a lot more access to a lot more than you think you do, it sounds like from that conversation. let's talk about where you can go from here. There's two routes that you can take. You can stay in tune in the certification level 1 Skype group and just stay in sync with Matt and myself as there's going to be a new launch of a new course coming up in just a few weeks here. So just look on the calendar and just really get focused on getting this out the door. Check in, check into the Skype group. Once a member, always a member. And, start looking at when the next course is coming out. If you need to audit a couple courses, watch the replays, spend a little time, or just go through the steps. Buckle down, stay focused on what you're doing. If you get stuck or hung up, bring it to the group. Okay, that's one path. Now, there's a lot of other things now that everybody is very qualified for, depending upon the path that you want to take. And that really does depend on whether you're an SEO agency or whether you have your own business. Okay, if you'd like to, Tech Foundation 2 is the next training out, and I can't remember when the next training for that is. Let me just take a look at that.
I think it's after the event, Russ.
Yeah, it's going to be after our live training. Let me just look at that real quick. And this is really all about kickstarting massive traffic and sales conversion. Keeping in mind that, guys, when you're ready, if you have any questions about your readiness, don't feel pressured. I really want you to, this is a training. If you have any questions about your readiness, see us on Skype. Okay? If you have any doubts at all, okay, I don't want you to be on a sales hook here. I want you to make sure that you're ready. This is really about kickstarting massive traffic. This is a great place to go. It's one of our certified advisors, Ben Johnson, here giving a little testimonial. But we really at this point, we're going to get into how to kickstart the traffic even more than the traffic focus that Matt gave you in this first 8 weeks. We get into some more things. We have some, I gave away some of my other more appropriate for the next level of memetic, copywriting and the rest, because I really needed you to get the painkiller article method intact and have the basic concepts and foundations intact. Well, in the saying, can certain people get access to Tech 2 prior to the start of the next course? Yeah. Anybody who's got questions on these particular issues, just contact me. Okay, it's really on a case-by-case basis, but there are some general things that everybody you need to be aware that you get. Okay, so Welton, just contact me there. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, guys, with the Tech 2, if you don't have a site that's up and running, it's recommended that you actually
just wait. Yeah, we want you to
apply it too.
Yeah, because that's the main thing, Welton, is I know you're not done with your site yet. It doesn't mean that you can't start kicking through it. And in fact, you're entitled to what you're entitled to. But let's also make sure that we are in a delicate balance of making sure that people maintain their focus while at the same time getting there when they're ready. And there's a pretty good course overview as well. We give you the course overview on the side if you want to wet your palate for that. And of course, just talk to me. We'll work on it. Yeah. Marina is asking. She said she had to step away for a moment when I talked about the buy button. Do not know if Charles asked this. He uses Eventbrite to sell his courses. Do you recommend he should still have a buy button on his website? Okay, that's a great question. Well, there's a couple of things I go to. Let's think about how here's how I think about things, okay? The first step I go through is, okay, how are you collecting the money? So I walk from the back end forward. Okay, so that's a pretty complex question. For instance, if they're doing all the collection of the money for you, then you're getting into questions like merchant accounts and gateways and all these things. There's a lot of services coming out that make that easy for you. So I can't really answer that up front because I haven't technically analyzed what that is, Marina. I wouldn't really know. Is this it, eventbrite.com or? Okay. I don't know much about it. There are a lot of different tools out there. Oh, this is an academy, I see. This is almost like, I have one of my courses on, actually I think it's one of Matt's courses I put on a couple of years ago on Udemy. I could express a couple of things. Let me give you some food for thought on this, Marina. I've been through quite a bit with this. Do you want me to share that a little bit here? Okay. So the problem with putting your content, especially I think your guys' content is pretty valuable because I'm an agile person. I think we're going to see an explosion in agile over the next decade because people are starting to get it. It actually works, for some, and not as well for others because they resist, but my challenge with Udemy was, okay, they have this big bucket service for you, and they take some fees up front. I got my product turned off a couple times for like some minor nitnoid. Like, that's just annoying. So, of course, control issues come up. Now, the advantages are, of course, they syndicate it out there. They give you that reach. If you want that reach, that makes sense. One of the challenges I had is that it really doesn't do anything for your website. Like Udemy, like I'm ranked #1 on Udemy for, like, if you type in Russell Wright SEO, like Udemy comes up. So, I'm ranked on their site. It's a high power. But really what I wanted was a link back to my site from Udemy, right, which wasn't super easy to get, at least it wasn't then. By becoming the storehouse of your content and your information, you lose a good deal of control. So what you have to ask yourself is, okay, if it makes it easier for you to create a course and a curriculum and not have infrastructural control, you're willing to give up that level of control, which means they can turn it off at any time. It's no different than anything else we've ever talked about as far as the golden frame. You know what I'm saying? You guys remember the definition of golden frame? Golden frame is any platform that you own the infrastructure, the server. You can control the data. You're responsible when it gets hacked and when it doesn't get hacked. Okay, well, Udemy, you hand over that power. Eventbrite's the same thing. And it might be good for some of your primer courses to help build your list. Okay, it might be good for maybe getting some notoriety and picking up some great students and upselling them into a more advanced course. But my recommendation would be don't put any serious heavy-duty training that's more than a couple $100 on Udemy. I know you're going to hear the exact opposite because I do have friends that are making, $3,000, $5,000 a month on Udemy. Okay, and that, hey, for someone who's just starting out, that might be a really, really great way to go. I mean, they have a lot of domain authority, they have a lot of traffic, and they have a library of courses that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But use it as a lead gen. I don't view it any differently than I view Amazon in terms of Amazon Prime. Here's what happened, Marina. It's really similar to what happened with Amazon Prime. Not everybody was doing it. It was a great service. You paid your monthly fee. Suddenly, you got the Amazon Prime sticker next to your product, and a lot more people bought it. But you know how much Amazon Prime is charging you now per product just to have the Amazon brand? They've done the same thing that Google and everybody else does, is they've just inflated the branding, and it costs a ton of money. And then you have things like the Amazon selling machine and all these other things that came out, now making it more difficult. So then, of course, who controls all that infrastructure? Who controls that inflation of the value? And now you're stuck with them, right? There's people that literally can't afford to get rid of Amazon Prime, but they can't afford to keep it either. I'm talking about as a vendor. You guys know what I mean? As a vendor. I don't view that as any different than what goes on with Udemy. It's a product system where you get the brand doing all the marketing for you, and then you get exposure to a list, but you don't even really get to keep the list unless you're at a certain level. And then the infrastructure is not yours. It's not your technical infrastructure. So recommendation #1, create a simple introduction course like that drives people to a full course. And don't give away your big stuff. And then use a site membership that's internal that you can have on your own server. Does that make sense, Marina? Control the infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions on that? Because that's the buy button issue. That explains why you had an issue getting a buy button on your site. If you've already got that, if you're already thinking this through and you already have a plan, Marina, to get the leads from Udemy and then get them over to your site, then you're probably doing well. How much is the course going to be, the Agile course? Yeah, and he's going to put it in Udemy Teach. I know how tempting that is. Maybe you guys just use it as a Kickstarter. I mean, maybe maybe it's too overwhelming. A lot of that depends on your technical staff. Like installing a software like DAP or Digital Access Pass or a membership site is a lot harder than using Udemy. But, just consider the cost. Maybe you do it as your Kickstarter and that's your first one, and then you plan part 2 and part 3, and you put those in your site. Just have a plan, have an exit strategy. You need an evacuation strategy. Because I have been pretty displeased by a couple things that happened to me on Udemy. And it was just like, wow, okay. I have 0 power. Thank you. You got to play. Point is that you go on another server, you go for the branding, and you play by their rules. Their house, their rules. Got it? Anybody else in the group have anything to add to that? Any other students? Give me a 1 if you guys get that. Okay, 2 if you do not. Okay. Anybody here in Amazon Prime, doing Amazon Prime type products in this course? Okay. All right, good. All right, I think we've had enough for a day. This has been a very powerful boot camp. I want to thank Matt DeCruz for his powerful teaching methods, and I want to thank everybody for contributing your thoughts, and we want only your success. And everybody in this course has the ability to make money. That's the first and foremost thing, is the transaction. Focus on the transaction. And then, of course, the building of these sites makes the transaction easier across more topics. You're going to make more money because you're going to rank for more keywords using far fewer inbound links. And you're going to be building your own content broadcasting empire. This sets you up for that. All right? If you have any questions about any of the other courses, if you're not able to make the live certification event this year, just know that the cost of these courses can always be used at least one time towards the cost of the certification event. Also know that once you've been to our live certification event, where we can tear apart your business and put it back together for you, that you will always be grandfathered into the live certification events at around 1/4 the cost of the general public. Okay, I know they're expensive compared to a lot of the training out there, but you guys are starting to see why. And once you've attended a live certification event, they are incredibly inexpensive for the rest of your life because you are part of the Network Empire Certified Advisor team. We know who you are. Okay, we can even provide referrals and positive feedback once you get certified, once you pass a test. So that's where you're going. I want to thank each and every one of you. Matt, do you have anything to say to wrap this up?
Yeah, guys, I'm very proud of how far you guys have got. If you're still getting stuck, just ping me on Skype, and I'm here to help you and assist you. So don't think that because the course has ended, that's the communication is cut off. We are here to help you guys. So
oh, here you go, Matt.
Fire your question across.
Yeah, Mahai is saying yes. Guys, the level 1 Skype group. Mahai has asked, is the level 1 Skype group going to be open? Let me make this perfectly clear because I know it's hard. These are perpetual mastermind groups. You guys are family from here on out. You will never not be a part of certification level 1, certification level 2. So for instance, a year from now, when we've got 10, extra 50 people in this course, you can be in here auditing it. We'll make an announcement saying, hey, there's been a change to this module. You can watch the replay. Once a member, always a member. You guys get that? Okay, just Mahai, I just want to make sure these chat rooms will always be available to you. Now, we do have a limit in the chat room, which is 300 people. That's going to be a while. It's a pretty intimate group. We'll keep it intimate as long as we can. All right? Thank you guys so much. We look forward to seeing you on the inside of the certification level 1 and hopefully on other training courses. Thanks, Matt.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys. And I'll speak to you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.